Being alive is something that I value and I cherish. You can never, ever, 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 ever see how important it is to be alive.
I know.
Okay, I'm a born survivor, first of all, and it happened when I was 9 years old. I was involved in a fire accident that happened at home. So, but that's as a result of fuel scarcity or kerosene scarcity way back then. That happened in 1996. I was only nine. Way back then, still the issue of not having light, there's no power. So people were confined to use lantern. So we got that kerosene that was adulterated from wherever we bought it from. Just imagine running with fire for like 10 to 20 kilometers.
So that's like some minutes going by.
Yeah, with fire on you. So that was tough. End of the day, we were able to, the fire was put out, and we three were brought out in the front of the
Get
console.
it? I've heard people out here that actually work for free. That's mad. That's crazy.
My job actually, the first job I actually got, it was like I almost worked for free. Because I was just I was earning stipend for like 3 years, but at some point I was drifting because I drifting in the sense that at some point when I had my free time, I would just go into the classroom and I would start telling them about life experiences.
I know, right?
Some people have the opportunity, so you also need to let them know what's out there for them, what they should be expecting. So they don't think that the secondary school life is the same thing with the university, because that's a different ball game altogether. I'll give you an example. I was opportune to go to a small town in the southeastern part of the UK. It's called New Haven. This was something that blew my mind, because I was able to see how waste is being used to power 25,000 homes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of No Right, No Wrong. My name is CT, and today I'm excited. I have a guest. I got family in the house, so I'm excited to bring that to you. Welcome, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
man. I'm excited to have you here on the podcast. As we begin, I just introduced you. Your name is Franklin, so I do know that. You want to introduce or kind of introduce yourself to the people?
Okay, I'm Franklin Samuel, like I rightly said, and Nigerian, and come from the southern part of Nigeria, River State specifically. I am a marine safety officer, and I also work with TES Marine. I studied environmental science in the University of Brighton and United Kingdom, and it was a nice experience going over to outside the country, leaving the shores of Nigeria, and going out there to try myself on what I can do. And I think it was a very great and lovely experience.
Oh, okay. No, that's great. I'm glad to have you here, because one of the things we're going to be talking about is your experience, growing up in Nigeria, but also studying in the UK. Just before we go ahead, I know that also you have other things that you enjoy doing, like music, and we're going to get into that as well, right? And your family, so we're going to break it down a little bit.
Definitely, I have to.
Yeah,
I have to.
Yeah, we're going to break it down a little bit. So tell me, basically, you said you studied, what did you study in the UK?
I studied environmental science. Environmentalist.
Yeah. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I start this conversation, bro, is why did you relocate back to Nigeria? Because a lot of people will be like, Japa, nothing is bringing me back. So let's get into that story first, which is interesting to me.
Okay. The thing is, I love the UK, no disrespect to them. But while I was studying, I always had that urge that whatever I studied was needed more in Nigeria as compared to the UK. So if you look at the environment in Nigeria, it seems to be where the issues are. So as compared to the UK, it's different. because in the UK, you can say in terms of environmental issues, how they tackle them issues, I could say they're about, let's say, 60 to 70%, as compared to Nigeria, where if you look at the waste hierarchy in Nigeria here, is a different ball game altogether.
I mean, when
Um,
it comes to the environment and stuff
yes,
like that, right?
like if you look at it from the UK perspective, you can see that first of all, you say you try as much as possible to prevent the waste. Try as much as possible to prevent the waste, and then you can go into recycling and all of that, and then maybe landfill. But in Nigeria here, you have what they call people hardly prevent that waste. So there's always that high number of wastage or huge waste littered in places where it shouldn't have been. And that's a critical thing if you want to look at it from that point of view. Secondly, the part that the government hasn't even invested more into that is a big issue. You look at the fact that people just get this waste, and what do they do with the waste? I keep asking that same question. What do people do with the waste that they gather? What do people do? What do the trucks that carry this waste? What do they do with them?
Mm.
So it did gives me that heave of a sigh where I look at it, I'm like, these people must be playing some games with my mind. Like, I feel like this is where these things, we need to know where these things are going, what they use them for, and what they do with them.
So,
It's
so basically, you're saying that there's an opportunity for a lot to be done when it comes to the environment, especially with waste disposal, recycling, and stuff like that.
exactly, yes, there's a whole lot that could be done. I think that also is something the government needs to step up. You look at places like where I did my dissertation in school. I was looking at the top 20 recycling cities in the UK, and how Brighton could improve. So in the course of that, I did some research in other countries as well. So I found out in a place like in Sweden, where people are given incentives to recycle their waste. There's this bin that I'm trying to look at designing. What the bin actually would do is just to encourage people to recycle more,
Mm.
because from what I've seen or what we have in our country right now, we have scavengers digging into people's bins, trying to get things out and all of that, and it's quite dirty and nasty. And I
Mm.
feel like that's something we should be doing. That's not something we should, but we end up doing it. So it's something the government needs to look into and try to encourage people to recycle more.
Okay. With the whole recycling thing, in my opinion, right, it's not really a big culture here when it
Yeah.
comes to people recycling. But I did also notice that there's now, at least in my estimation, they now have even designated areas for recycled stuff, which might be a step in the right direction, but not enough, like, right? When
Yeah.
you look at the opportunity and like the steps that can be taken to encourage or improve like environmental practices,
Mm.
right? What would be the incentives in your opinion, or what can be done? Like when you look at it, because I see that for you to make the decision that you want to relocate and come back to Nigeria, you must
Mm.
have ideas and opinions on things that can be done about it.
Yeah, when I moved back to Nigeria, I had the opportunity to talk to some people who I felt like would give me ears. I was able to talk to Loma, but the thing is, I sent them a few emails and there was no response. So I felt like maybe they had their own way of handling waste or dealing with their waste. So, but the ideas I've got basically is we try to run like maybe an outreach where, or try to do what they call environmental sensitization.
Yeah.
Sensitization where everybody is aware of the dangers of not recycling or the dangers of not trying to prevent their waste. So people should stop that habit of putting their waste in maybe landfill, because that's like the least in the waste hierarchy.
If
So
they don't put it in the landfill, what are the options available to them right
okay.
now?
Like I could give you an example in Brighton. I was opportune to go to a small town in the southeastern part of the UK. It's called New Haven. um, this was something that blew my mind because I was able to see how waste is being used to power 25,000 homes. It was the first-hand information that I got, and it was something that till date I still never seen anything like it before. I was able to see how waste is being separated and segregated, and the whatever residue that is left is being burnt off. And end of the day, what you get, definitely generate heat energy, and that's being converted to with
Power.
a gas turbine, and is end of the day you come out with having a light or something. So it's something that could be done in the country in Nigeria here, because I feel like the waste here is so much,
Hmm.
you know.
Have you been to any of the landfills here?
Yes, I've been.
I know sometimes by the corner of the streets, it's a mini landfill sometimes. But
Yeah.
have you been to any of like designated landfills?
Yes, I've been to a couple of them. I've been to the one in Lagos here. I've been to the one in Warri
Yeah.
in Delta State. I think I've been to the one too in Pohaka. That's being run by one of my aunties. She used to be a supervisor on
The
that
waste
landfill, yeah,
management and stuff.
on
Yeah.
that landfill plat setup.
Yeah.
So she used to supersee or oversee trucks come in and go, and So I was trying to have a conversation with her in that aspect. But the thing I keep getting was that people just generally just dump those waste there. But there's some environmental issues or underlying issues as regards to doing that. You can actually get your underground water corrupted or infected with some impurities or chemicals that could go on and become an environmental hazard. So those are the things to look out for, especially doing things like that.
Oh, okay. No, that's kind of that's interesting, right? I don't know if people actually understand the kind of power or the things you can actually do with recycling.
Hmm.
In general, there are lots of other uses. They say sometimes
Hmm.
like the paycheck is in the dirt.
Exactly.
Sometimes
Yeah.
that dirt has some good stuff in it. So it's something that can be explored as well. Obviously, I don't think there's a lot of setups to actually get it done now, but it's definitely something that that can become a positive in terms of actually first cleaning up the environment, but
Hmm.
also making sure that the disposing of those waste is actually done in a way that can actually become beneficial
Hmm.
as well. So I would go back to your story, basically, coming back, because one of the things that is interesting
Hmm.
about this is when you actually decided to relocate back to Nigeria.
Hmm.
Tell me about that experience with the job search.
I mean, I mean, like it was a tough decision to make,
Yeah.
because I had my family, all of them saying, "You need to stay back. You
I
need to
know,
stay
right?
back."
There's the whole Japa thing, and then you decided that you're going to be coming
Yeah,
back. That whole reaction, yeah.
they were like, "You need to stay back. You need to stay back. There's nothing at home to grasp. There's nothing to really do in Nigeria." But then you also have to look at it from my own point of view. The essence of me going to the UK was to go and study and then come back with all the ideas and skills and then making an impact in my country.
Yeah.
So that was the main reason why I went to study. I went to study on scholarship.
Yeah.
So by the River State government. So it's something that I felt like I needed to give back to the society or to my country. So me staying back means I'm just being greedy and selfish. So the best I did was to come back home and see what is available for me to, practice or just impact my world. But it became an unfortunate story because I ended up doing my NYSC and my service, and then
Where did you do your service? Which state?
I actually did my orientation camp in Isayin or your state.
Okay.
But I had to relocate to Lagos because I felt like it was the best place for me to be at that moment.
Is it that you started your youth service in Uyo and then you didn't finish there, you relocated to Lagos, or you finished your whole youth service in
What you actually do with the youth services, you go for like a 3 weeks orientation.
yeah,
So that's
military boot
yes,
camp.
kind of like, yeah.
Basically a military boot camp, yeah.
And you have the choice to relocate because I'm an international student.
Okay.
So I felt like, yes, there was that opportunity for me to go where I could actually be more useful. Because when I use the word useful, it's not like I won't be useful in the remote areas, but in a place where, I mean, people can actually, I can actually fit into the environment. So Lagos was like the best place for me to actually do that
Oh, okay.
as
And then you
compared
moved it.
to Oyo State.
Oh, okay. No, that's actually interesting. I guess I didn't actually know that you can actually just do your orientation
Of course you
for
can
3 weeks and then
relocate or
then
redeploy.
so is that's a request you actually have to
Yes, you
make?
make a request for that to happen.
Oh, okay. And then there are certain conditions that they could actually grant that to you
Exactly.
if actually that is possible. But you said something about unfortunately. So now when you get to Lagos, how did that now become
Well,
unfortunately?
coming back to Lagos, a different ball game. I mean, like it was like I felt the need to actually, if I had known, I would have stayed back because there was a lot of things coming towards me, and it was too much. The fact that the basic things that I used to see free in the UK, they were becoming difficult to get. You couldn't have steady lights. There wasn't good proper water. The water wasn't clean, and the roads were bad. You're always bumping into traffic and all of that. So it was a tough one. It was a tough one to take in. But in spite of all of that, you still need to strive because as a Nigerian, once a Nigerian, always a Nigerian. You have to try as much as possible to adapt to the new environment, which I did. It was really tough for me, but I felt like I had to find a way to conquer. Um, well, after the service, I was job hunting, and
Which is an interesting part because the interesting part, like as you said, right, is
Mhm,
when you tell people that you want to move back,
mhm,
one thing that comes is are you going to find a job? How are you going to fit into the system
mhm.
here, right? So that experience with the job hunting, I want to find out how that went for you, the whole process for that.
Okay. Coming back, tough. Did my NYC while I was serving. There was this job opportunity that came through. But I felt like coming from the UK, we already knew that it has to be. You have to. There's only one way to do something right. So I felt like I needed to finish my NYSC before I could go on to do that job. I didn't know that you can be working and be serving at the same
Oh,
time.
really? Okay.
So I think I got that mix up there. And it really affected me because by the time I was done with NYSC, the opportunity wasn't there.
Okay.
And I had to start looking for a job. And it was tough. It was actually tough, really, really tough, because I had to go online. I had to talk to a lot of people. I had to walk. I had to go to different places looking for opportunities. At some point, I even tried going into teaching.
Tell
And
me about that. How did you enjoy? How did you enjoy being a teacher? Was it in Lagos here?
yeah, I tried my hands in teaching in one of them schools in Port Harcourt,
Yeah.
the city where I come from. But the process of that was really, really funny because when I got there, and the owner of the school or the proprietor, he said, you need to write an application
Okay.
immediately. So I wrote my application, and he looked at the application I wrote, and he was like, how much are you expecting me to pay you?
Overqualified.
He looked at me and said, I think you're way too qualified for this job. You should do something else than teaching. I said, I just needed that experience because instead of me staying at home and not doing anything, I felt like I could be useful, impacting the people and also learning more. So he said, okay, I'm going to pay you just a small amount of money. And I was I was eager. I didn't. It wasn't the money for me though. It was more about the experience, at least getting my hands dirty and doing something, as compared to just sitting at home and doing nothing. So yeah, I just dabbled on it for a bit.
Was it like primary school, secondary
It was a
school?
secondary school kind of setting.
Yeah, senior secondary, junior
It was
secondary.
a senior secondary
Oh, so
kind of setting.
you were dealing with the big adolescents, like the
Yes, I
big teenagers.
was. I
Yeah.
was. Actually was, but at some point I was drifting
Okay.
because I drifting in the sense that I at some point when I had my free time, I would just go into the classroom and I would start telling them about life
I
experiences.
know, right? Let's get outside schoolwork and get something
Yeah,
learned. Yeah.
I mean, you need to do that for them. You need to also let them know how the world is and how the world works. So some people don't have the opportunity to, go further in education. Some people have the opportunity. So you also need to let them know what's out there for them, what they should be expecting.
Yeah.
So they don't think that the secondary school life is the same thing with the university, because that's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
And if you look at it from that point of view, you see that people need to be more equipped. People need to be ready, and ready in the sense that you need to be ready mentally, you need to be ready financially, you need to be ready with your academics too. So that puts you on a path where you need to work really hard. So in some parents, or in some household where parents are not able to get all the money they need or the finances they need to send their kids to university, it's quite tough for them. So what I try to do is tell the kids or the students that while you're studying or doing whatever you're doing, you can just try and get some side hustle to save you all that stress. Because when you get to the university, you'll be needing a whole lot of it.
Which is an interesting point for me, especially with secondary school students.
Mm,
I've not been able to actually take a look into that, but I remember that when I was in secondary school,
hmm
work was a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
There was a part that when you're in school that people talk about, it's go to school, go to university,
Mm,
then you start thinking of work.
mm.
And I'm always like, you were in the UK, kids out there start working at the age
You're
of 16,
16. Yeah.
the moment they can, right?
Mm.
But out here, it felt like you had to go through the steps of education before you even
Think
start
of
thinking of
working.
work. So that might be important information that people have to find out. Like, this work starts pretty early. It's
Mm.
not just you go and then you wait for your university education, and
hmm
that's when the first time you're actually hit with the whole routine.
hmm
Because work is also a routine, and maybe if you start early, it's easier to get into it than just wait till after you have graduated from university. So that would be something that will probably help the students in that sense. I don't know whether it's a thing now where you find interesting enough, you find like 16-year-olds working. Is that a common thing you've noticed, or is it not even a thing here?
I wouldn't say it's a common thing. I think it's the people who are more enlightened. They're the ones who understand that
And
better.
actually start doing it?
Yeah.
Is there, and again, you would be like, what's the job opportunities for a 16-year-old?
It's not like they're gonna have like a white collar job or
Yeah,
something. It's just gonna be something like a skill, like maybe they could open a barber shop or something and start running a barber
exactly.
shop,
Yeah.
or going into marketing, sales. They could do a whole lot. They
Now there
could,
is social media that young people are all going
yes,
into. Maybe you learn a few things about
yeah,
how social
you
media
can learn
works.
a whole lot. That's why we have all this internet, YouTube, and all of that.
Yeah,
So that gives people that opportunity to, be able to do a whole lot of different kind of things while they're also going to school.
yeah,
So if they can do all of that, that will really help them in the future, because it will be burdensome to have their parents paying for everything.
yeah.
So the best they can do is try to reduce that burden on their parents by saving up some money for themselves when they go to uni.
Mm.
So it makes a whole lot of sense
Oh,
doing that.
oh yeah, definitely. For me, it's just a culture thing that I just thought. I don't think it was just me,
hmm
but I felt like, oh, the way that the messaging as a young kid is, oh, go study your books, go read.
Mm,
You put your time into studying, get through your secondary education, and then the next thing is we're trying to get your education into a university. You get through the university, and then the first time you're really thinking about work is
mm,
after you graduate from university. In
mm,
some cases, even that some people would consider work while as a student a distraction to your actual education.
Okay.
There are some parents that would actually say that I've heard, that would be like, no, focus on your books. That's why you're in school.
Yeah.
Instead of working, also not understand that it's important to start picking up those little skills even when you're a student. I think it has changed a little bit more, because I've heard a few students now that, for good or for worse, but they claim they have a side hustle.
Yeah.
That means they're actually doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has always been like that, at least from my experience, but that might be a very skewed perspective. But I think it was a thing, like the path is go do well in your education, come out with a first class,
Yeah.
and maybe even trying to work while you're a student would distract you from, you know what I mean, getting a first class. So that would be useful information for secondary school students also to know in Nigeria.
I mean, I would say way back in our own time, we didn't have that.
You mean
In
like
my
the
own secondary
working?
school.
You mean like the working while you're in secondary
Yeah.
school, or getting
Yeah.
to it?
We didn't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't have that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was more or less like your book, your book, your book, your book.
Exactly.
That's
That
the
was
only
the
thing.
only part.
Yeah.
That was like, you gotta get it done, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like, the thing is, that's why I said coming back to Nigeria was a beautiful thing, because now you see that people at the age of 16, they're working, they're studying, they're doing a lot of things. They're saving up money for themselves for the future, maybe money to buy themselves some good sneakers and all
I
that.
know now you can get it for yourself and not have to
Yeah.
bother your parents, right?
Yeah, so you actually have money for whatever you want without, at the expense of not bothering your dad or your mom for anything. So you're beginning to equip yourself to become independent. So you can do a lot of things for yourself. So that's a good thing. I think the government should try as much as possible to encourage people who are in the high school about the age of 16 to go into learning one or two things. There's a whole lot they could learn.
If even the private sector can also come into play and hire more of them, right? In
Yeah.
those maybe assistant jobs, getting them their hands getting them to actually start understanding what work is and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And also making some money on the side too wouldn't hurt for any of that.
Yeah.
But there's whole unemployment thing. There are lots of adults that would rather have those jobs, and
Exactly.
it's a thing, right?
So we say it's an issue of not having enough jobs.
Yeah.
So there's so many graduates with less jobs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like dog eat dog kind of setting, where everyone just scrambles for, maybe you can see like 1,000 people just applying for a single job.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and these are probably, in some sense, some overqualified people too.
Yeah. So people, they just want to do it because they're tired of staying at home and they've got families to feed.
Yeah.
So
responsibilities actually calling at that point. So yeah, so you were talking about your experience as a teacher and stuff like that. And then moving to, so that was what you did while you were in your job search, because that's what we're going by.
Yeah.
And so how did that keep going? Because I've heard so many stories about job search in Nigeria being real, as you said, dog eat dog, with more to black, but dog eat dog world in that.
Of course, it is a dog eat dog kind of setting, because after NYSC and doing that job thing I did just for a few months, I actually had to move back to Lagos, because I felt like what I was doing in Port Harcourt was a bit like a joke for me, because I wasn't earning. I mean, like, the pay wasn't something that you can compare with where I was coming from. So I had to move back to Lagos, and with the intention that an opportunity will spring up somewhere. So only to come back to Lagos and nothing.
Hey.
So I waited for like 5 years to actually get something, and I had to go through some connected people that I knew, and one of them gave me an opportunity to visit a friend for him to interview me. So on getting to his company, I wouldn't want to say the name.
Yeah.
So the guy, he interviewed me. He said, "What do you do? What did you study and all that? Tell me about yourself." And I did all I could do. And he said, "Do you have any experience?" I said, "I only have one experience. I'm only a teacher. taught some students after NYSC. He said that is not enough. So he said you needed to get a lot of job experience. And I'm like, how do people get that experience if you don't give them the opportunity? So it also boils down to the fact that companies don't want to give um, graduates the opportunity to express themselves or to show themselves. So they're looking for ready-made people who've got that experience. So now, how do you grow that graduate? How do you grow other graduates if you don't give them the opportunity
It-
to,
the,
hone them skills?
the tough thing is that most of the industry, there is limited opportunities. What do I mean by that? Like the company's requirements, right? They are limited in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria. There
Mm-hmm.
is a huge, like as you said,
Mm,
you put up opening from you put an opening for 10 positions and you're getting
mm.
1,000 people
People.
applying to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So really what's happening is that there's so many people that are qualified for jobs, but
Mm-hmm.
not enough of the jobs to go around.
Mm,
And unfortunately, the companies can't just manufacture jobs and pay people for
mm-hmm.
what they don't need. You
Mm,
know what I mean? It becomes a very interesting space where what really needs to be done is to set a foundation where more businesses can actually thrive,
mm-hmm.
right? Because as that situation is, it's tough, right? Because if they have an opening for just two people, they'll
Mm-hmm.
get the best person for the job. They're
Yeah.
not really looking at let's develop somebody because the best person for the job is also looking for a job.
Mm.
It's on that, the
List as
resume
well.
is on that list as well, right?
Mm.
It becomes a very tough thing to actually get your feet in the door to get it. I've heard people out here that actually work for free. That's mad. That's crazy.
My job actually, the first job I actually got, it was like I almost worked for free because I was just,
That's mad.
yes, I was earning stipend for like 3 years.
Yeah.
But I think I needed more of that experience because I felt like it's not enough to actually just study and maybe study from somewhere that is not within your terrain, like
Yeah.
outside the country. So then you think like when you come back home, you'll be given one of the best jobs,
Yeah.
but only to come back home and you're still being put
The
in a tight
competition
corner.
is
You're
still,
still being put in a tight corner, and the competition is rife,
yeah.
and the only opportunity you got, you need to hold it with both your hands and feet.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. The other thing I wanted to do is because you made a gap that before you got your current job and stuff that you had to get through for 5 years and stuff, and you were living in Lagos this whole time.
Yes, I
So one
was.
question I wanted to ask is, with that whole dynamic for you, right? Like, how is living in Lagos?
The good thing was I had a good family that acted as my support. So I was living with them. I was probably living in one of the best places in Lagos.
Yeah,
So there was steady lights, and there was access to good water and all of that. I had internet. There was a football field. There was a court for basketball and a whole lot of things. So
yeah.
everything was just made, for people to enjoy. So it was a nice place to be. But
That means you had like something to fall back on.
something to
That's
fall back on.
okay.
But I'm also looking at it that what if I didn't have that?
That would be mad.
That would be mad, So that would be like the worst regret anybody can actually have, because coming back from the UK where you had all the basic amenities, they're
Mhm.
always there for you.
Yeah.
And now you're back to your country where even the least basic amenity, you have to fight for it, or you have to pay a whole lot of money for it if you
Yeah.
can't afford it.
Yeah.
How are you going to cope? So it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. After all of that, I managed to get myself something to do, which is a job.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I've been on the road.
Yeah.
So getting my paycheck every month, a little stipend every month for 3 years, until I finally moved to a proper job where I'm able to practice what I studied. So it's quite interesting. It's a broad issue that I feel like the government should do more to create jobs for people, especially for young people, because if you look at it, I was taught in school, even in Nigeria here, that the labor force starts from the age of 18 to 60.
Yeah.
But you can see that even at the age of 61, 62, people are still working.
They're not
So
going
they
to.
don't want to
They don't want to give it
retire.
up.
They don't want to retire. People don't want to retire. They want to die in the job.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the pension structure. That might also be a thing in a system that does not work. It's possible that these people don't want to risk it and get into the pension structure as well. And with the lack of jobs, there are a lot of people getting to those 60 and whatever and don't have very good retirement options.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sometimes you're forced to still keep working because they're not very good retirement options, right?
Mm-hmm.
For you as well. But that's interesting. But how do you like Lagos? I know it seems like you got the best of Lagos, basically.
Yeah, like I stayed in the very comfortable zone. I call it my comfort zone
Yeah,
for like 10 years.
yeah,
So it was interesting. It was fun because there was this opportunity to always go out there and do what you need to do. But that was within my terrain.
yeah,
I would say Lekki.
yeah.
Lekki was my terrain. So I maybe go to the mainland once in a while, but not something I do like on a regular.
Okay.
So, but like I think I'm more conversant with Lekki. Lekki is my zone. Lekki is my
Mm.
area. It's like where I wrote, where I
Oh,
did my thing.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I've been around it. I can see why it would be a great area. But the other thing is I did notice that you do have like scars on your hand, and I've just been meaning to ask the story behind that.
Yeah.
Was that when you were little, or that has anything to do with recently an accident, or what's happening with that? Like,
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out.
yeah, I just noticed it. I'm like, oh man, was that a burn? Like, was that work related, or what's going on?
Okay. I'm a born survivor,
Yeah,
first of all.
yeah.
And it happened when I was 9 years old. I was involved in a fire accident that happened at home. So, but that's as a result of fuel scarcity or kerosene scarcity way back then. That happened in 1996. I was only 9 then. So it was tough because mm, what happened there was because of the scarcity of kerosene, people actually mix kerosene with fuel, and you can buy that off. Yeah.
Tampered stuff.
So the kerosene was adulterated.
Yeah.
So way back then, still the issue of not having light, there's no power. So people were confined to use lantern. So we got that kerosene that was adulterated from wherever we bought it from.
Yeah.
And my sister and my younger brother, with myself, we went to the shop to see my mom. So because my dad just recently got retired from Shaw, and
So that would be so. This whole situation with your mom and your dad, that would be back in '96, right?
yeah, that was
Oh,
back
okay.
in '96. So dad was retired in 1995. So we just went home for Christmas and came back, and I did school just for 1 week. So we were in the house, and we felt like, okay, we need to go see our mom because my dad opened a new shop for her. So we just went to go visit my mom. Getting there, after chilling with her, she gave us some sweets. So we came back home, and dad was like, hey, where have you been? We went to mom's shop. So while we were there, there's this visitor that came in. So my dad said, okay, there was no power. There was power failure. So my dad told my other sister, he said, go in there and make sure they put light in the house. So we were just coming from my mom's shop. The three of us, we went straight to the store where she got the lantern and she poured the kerosene in.
And for people that don't know what a lantern is, it's just the basic light source where you actually
it has
put
a globe.
Yeah.
It has a globe and a small tank
small
under
globe,
it.
and on the tank you put in like what's
Kerosene.
called kerosene. So
And
it's
it has
kind
a
of
wick. It has a wick too.
that you kind of turn the light on. And kerosene is basically a fuel derivative, right? But
Yeah.
it's not very common, but it's also a food additive that kind of helps
Yeah,
light it up.
yeah. So when she poured the kerosene in and she struck the match, and then there was this explosion. So
Just
we
after.
just heard.
Do you have any idea what it was mixed with?
Right back then, I didn't have any idea because I was just 9, and
Yeah.
I would say I don't know.
Yeah.
In the sense that we weren't common with the news or what was going on, but we knew that there was kerosene scarcity,
and then
but
somebody.
and we didn't know that people can actually adulterate that kerosene with fuel. So it was as a course of growing up and getting more enlightened that you know that this is what actually happened. So in the process, everyone was scrambling for survival at that point in time.
When they lit the kerosene, then that's where it kind of exploded off of that.
Exactly.
That must be some really powerful stuff added to it that created such an explosion.
I agree with you 100%. So when that happened, everyone was scrambling for safety and trying to look for the nearest escape route. So I was trying to also escape, and in the process I had a fall. So I had to quickly stand up again and start running. I went to our drum, and there was no water in the drum. So I had to go to the neighbor's drum to see if there was water in it. And finally found the drum, and there was water in it, and I had to jump in.
You jumped into the.
Yeah, so that was like.
And that was when you were just 9
years old. So that was like after taking, like, just imagine running with fire for like, let's say 20 to 30 meters.
Oof. That's like
kilometers,
just
10 to 20
kilometers or meters.
10 to 20 kilometers.
So that's like some minutes going by.
Yeah, with fire on you. So that was tough.
Yeah.
End of the day, we were able to, the fire was put out, and we three were brought out in the front of the compound.
So that would be you, your mom, and your dad?
That would be me, my sister, and my younger brother.
Okay, so your mom and your dad wasn't there then? It was just
my
your sister?
mom was in the shop. Okay, my dad was the only one in the house.
Okay.
And my dad was having a shower when this happened. So it was the scream that he ran out and he saw what was happening. So he was screaming, and what they did was they had to pour red oil on us to help us calm down and all of that.
Yeah, with the bond and everything like that.
Because it was really, really hard for us. So my dad tried to take us to the hospital. He took us to Shell. And that was when I knew that if you have a bond, you know how important water is. I was so thirsty. Never been this thirsty in my life.
Oh boy.
So
it's like internal dehydration. Everything is dry and hot.
It was a crazy experience. It was a very tough experience. What happened was, while we were there and they were trying to, bring us back to life, put on all the equipment they need to put on to just make us that we survive, I was thirsty. I was just screaming for water, craving water. So I think one of the doctors who was quite intelligent, he knew what he wanted to do. So he said, every 3 hours, just put in a block of ice in their throat. So we get a block of ice in our mouth every 3 hours.
All three of you actually had this kind of bond, and that's.
I wouldn't say all three of us. I was the only one with third degree burns.
Yeah, third degree burns.
So basically 70% of my body is burnt, and it's quite a tough thing.
Yeah, that's and at that age too. That's crazy. For that, and but now you're good, right? You're been able to get through. Do you still have to manage it or anything like that?
Yeah, well, over time, I spent a full year in the hospital. I did a lot of skin grafting. Skin was taken off my thighs, off my scalp as well. So they did a lot of things just to make sure that my back, because my back was really, really the most affected.
Yeah.
So they did a whole lot of skin grafting on that area just to ensure that the back. I still got my scars anyway, so that'll be something for another day.
I know, man. Like at the end of the day, right, to give testimonies for the positive part, you are alive.
I have to be grateful to God.
You gotta be grateful.
Like, being alive is something that I value and I cherish. you can never, ever, 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 ever see how important it is to be alive.
I know,
So
right?
sometimes I wonder how people commit suicide. I feel like being alive just tells you that there's hope
There's
and there's
hope.
opportunity to be something better.
Yeah. No, I just observed that and I just thought that I wanted to know if that's something you're willing to share. Thanks for
Yes, of
sharing
course.
that,
Why not?
by the way. I'm gonna go on to a lighter note for something that you do. I'm made aware that you also do have a music career that you're doing. You want to talk about that? What kind of genre you like doing and your passion
Yeah.
for that, probably.
I mean, like the music thing has been there growing up. It's just that everyone at some point in your life you need that opportunity to enhance your skills. So while I was in Nigeria, I was just doing a little bit of my music as at what I knew what music was. So when I moved to the UK, it was more or less like I had to understand the music market, the business side of music, and what music is about. So you come in with a different kind of mindset. You try to do something differently, and also understand that you get inspired from how you get inspired by the spirit of music. So I tend to like be inspired every early morning. So when I wake up in the morning, I see myself humming to songs, things I don't even know, and I watch loads of clips of rap. So I would say I'm into the hip hop genre. So
Yeah.
that's something I really love to
Is it
do.
like just hip hop or basically Afro hip hop or like you have your own genre like
Okay,
Burna Boy,
oh, I,
Afro fusion or something,
I'll say
or just
my
hip
kind
hop
of
alone?
genre is basically hip hop. I love hardcore, so I
Hardcore,
feel
okay.
like there's a lot of stories to tell,
Mm,
and you can actually tell those stories with your rap.
mm,
So the stories you would tell singing will be quite minimal
yeah,
as compared to rapping. Rapping is like you got like a full bunch of words.
and you can express
You
yourself in
can express
different.
yourself. It's just for you to find the right words to connect everything together.
Yeah,
So doing that rap thing was something that I actually really loved. I loved it because I ended up honing that skills, always practicing, listening to clips of people rapping, freestyling. So my head was full. I was ready. I felt I was ready. So coming back to Nigeria here, while I was serving, I was looking for that opportunity to also express myself
and get
music
that
wise. And
skill.
I was able to get a few producers. And the producer I got, he first started off with gospel. So my first rap music was a gospel song,
Yeah,
and the title was "My God Is Good."
yeah,
So over time, I started seeing that okay, yes, you can do a lot of things. So I could even go into doing reggae. I could do raga. I could do normal rap. I can do Afro. So that entertainment thing has always been there.
oh
Like
no, I see,
my
like
dad was an entertainer.
what
My
kind of
mom too.
entertainment?
My dad was a comedian.
Yeah,
So he had that comedy kind of thing, way
yeah,
back when he was growing up. But
yeah,
he wouldn't really tell us what he actually did. But from the stories we heard he always made people laugh.
yeah.
And my mom was a dancer.
Okay,
So my
so
mom
you've
used
been
to lead
into
a dancing group.
entertainment has been around you,
Yeah,
kind
it's
of.
been around the family. So and my immediate brother is also a rapper too. So but
Elder brother or
yeah, immediate elder brother.
okay,
So he's into music at some point in his career, but
yeah,
I think he had to let go of that to pursue
sure.
greener patches working.
Okay.
So that's something he did, and I just felt like in spite that I'm working, I'm doing other things, I just can't throw that
That
talent
whole
away.
passion away.
Nah, it's something that I love to do.
How long have you been like have you been actually like you've recorded and gotten song like how
Okay,
long
my
now?
first record was in 2014.
Okay.
So 2014 till now, that's about
10
10,
years
11
that you've
years
been
now.
doing
Or
it.
let's say 9 years now.
And that's been a while. And you're in Lagos here. This is the
Yes,
capital city of getting music done, getting entertainment going and popping, right?
yeah.
So
And the thing is, you get all those things. So I've got like a bunch of songs. I have so many good songs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need to also understand that you're not the only one.
It,
So,
everything, there's a huge competition in almost
yeah.
every sector, and if you're going to be good at it, you gotta even be exceptional, and you gotta do a little bit more than the rest. And it's really tough because you're probably doing that on the side because you
Mm,
work, right? So
mm.
there's a different amount of time that you can actually put
Okay,
into it.
I still disagree in a
Makes
certain kind
sense,
of
yeah.
way because while I wasn't working, the 5 years
Okay.
I wasn't working, I was actively in the music thing.
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't about the talent. It wasn't even about how good you were. It was about how you promote that music.
Mm.
You get so the promotion is what takes, let's say 60 or 70% of the music that you do.
Yeah.
So if you have a good song
Yeah.
and you don't promote it, the song just ends with you.
It's like marketing. You can have the best product in the world. If nobody knows about it, nobody
Good.
is actually
Exactly.
patronizing it. It's actually a key part of anything that you
Yeah.
do. Is
So
actually
that's why I say
selling
60 to
yourself.
70%.
Yeah.
So the talent is just 20%. And then,
Because there's so many talented people that
yeah,
don't actually
there's a
get.
whole lot of people so talented.
Yeah.
So basically, what I did was, try as much as possible to promote my music. I got my video out there on YouTube.
Okay. So you have a
So
YouTube channel and all that
I
going.
have a YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel. And I had somebody running that for me as well.
Yeah.
So we did something that were really good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, after 2015, when I shot that video, I was discouraged by the output because people wouldn't let you um, get into the radio stations or TVs
Yeah.
to promote that music. Everyone was like, if you need to do that, there's something you need to pay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like with your talent and what you got with your good music will help you promote it. It was more or less like you pay for that to be out there.
Yeah.
And it's not fair, especially for upcoming artists who don't have anything except from their music. So it's like you're telling me that my music with music I need to have money to have to pump money in to ensure that the music goes or reaches to a wider
The
audience.
audience that you actually wanted to get
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
so it's tough for upcoming artists, especially the broke ones. Yes, I have to
Are
use
there
that
any
word.
ones that are not broke in the upcoming artists?
Well, when I say upcoming, some of them could be, like ask yourself questions like people like Whiskey. At some point,
Upcoming as
she was an
well. You know,
upcoming.
it's almost like you need that little break. You need that
You need that
that
push.
push,
You need
right?
that push.
Yeah, to get you.
So yeah, if you don't have that push, that's when you get the problem.
Yeah.
So you just working, you just putting out music, good music out there, and no one is listening to it.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of doing that is for people to actually
Listen,
listen to it, right? That's
and it
literally
has to be
the whole
marketable.
market, right?
Yeah.
Is for people to do that. No, that's a real thing in the industry. I don't think it's unique to any just one thing, but it's a real challenge when you're trying to get your foot in, prove yourself, gain
Mm-hmm.
some level of credibility with
Mm-hmm.
whatever your craft is and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And it's most of these markets, if people find out that there's a part to it, it becomes really competitive really quickly. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So, but I really think you shouldn't stop doing it. You might be working, but you're good at it. You can as well always keep doing it. You don't know where that break is going to come from.
Yes,
I always say
exactly.
that, right? We never really know.
Yeah.
Your own job is really to do the best you can do every day, right? And keep putting out the best product you can always put out, and maybe that push actually comes somewhere. You hear it all the time with people's stories. A lot of times it comes from where you don't even expect it to be coming from as well for that case. And just to wrap up, right? Just it's been an interesting conversation. Your
Mm-hmm.
story with the scars, your whole journey as well here in Lagos and stuff like that. But as a tradition, I'm just gonna ask you a dilemma question. This one is gonna be, it's basically the why that I want to know, right? So for you in general, um, when it comes to just in general, when it comes to between bright colors and
Mm.
mild colors,
Mm.
what's your thing and why?
Um.
If you had to pick bright colors or you gotta light gray, light blue or like milder colors? Like, what would you say more is
For
your thing?
me, it depends on the combination.
So so for you, it's more you like combinations, not necessarily. But if you had to pick one and give the reason why you have to pick one and leave the other one, which one would it be?
I'll say bright colors.
You say bright colors, and
Yes.
why exactly?
The reason is because I feel like it makes you stand out
Okay.
as compared to the dark or mild colors.
So you would rather stand out than just fit in the crowd.
Yeah, you have to stand out. That's the most important thing.
I
You know,
see.
if you're standing out and somebody's standing out, you also stand out of the box.
No. But that's interesting, though. Just wanted to put that. So basically, so it's about the bright colors is because you walk in the room and they know that okay,
Someone is here.
someone just got
That's
here.
what
Someone
shows.
someone just showed up in the room. It's about standing out from the crowd most often, and even if the crowd is bright, it's still bright.
Yeah, somebody has to make it brighter.
So would you be the kind of person to wear like really bright colors like yellow, I think yellow, red, those kind of really like really bright colors?
Funny enough, I really don't have all them kind of colors. When you use the word bright for me, what stands out for me is white.
Oh, white.
Yeah.
Okay.
What stands out for me
In terms of bright, yeah, I'm just trying to put out colors there,
Yeah,
but for you, the bright color that stands out for you
is
is
white and light blue.
Light blue, yeah, that would also
That's the two things that stand out.
actually stand out. Oh no, that's actually interesting. Even the reason why it's actually interesting. We're gonna wrap up for here. I've enjoyed this, Franklin.
Thank you so much.
Nice talking to you. And for everyone listening, hopefully you enjoyed the conversation as well. Don't forget like, subscribe, and share. Follow the channel. It's No Right, No Wrong. It's on YouTube mainly, also on all major podcast forms if you want it in the audio form, and follow all the social media pages as well that show up throughout the show. For everyone listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Franklin.
Thank you too.
Thank you for sharing your story. I really, really appreciate that. And for everyone listening, take care of yourselves and peace.